Stephon Diggs cut, and that might open the door to A.J. Brown to New England. We've had this graphic for a while. The New England uniform on AJB looks pretty good. And Drake May would go to a whole nother stratosphere if he was handed a wide receiver like A.J. Brown. And, this has been a long time coming for the divorce between Sirianni and AJB. It's not really Sirianni and anything other than, or shall I say, it's not really AJB and the team, the Philadelphia Eagles, organization. It's a divorce between A.J. Brown and Sirianni. They don't use A.J. Brown properly. A.J. Brown's been upset for a while now. They get rid of their offensive coordinator. We think the problems could be solved. AJB seems to be more happy and have a better outlook on the situation going into like Senior Bowl time frame. And then Sirianni comes to the podium, and when asked if AJB will be on the roster, this was several weeks ago, Sirianni said, no, that's not guaranteed. So now the buzz has been brewing. Smoke season's here. NFL draft is around the corner. The new league year and free agency's more closely around the corner. And now we're hearing rumors that New England's back in the mix. And we've been saying this for a while now. But the trigger point here for us to have this conversation again is that Stephon Diggs was released, or he will be released by the New England Patriots. So what are they doing? They're clearing space. What are they doing? They're getting ready to bring in a bigger name than Stephon Diggs. What bigger names are there than Stephon Diggs? Well, via trade, it's AJB. Via trade, it's Adunze. Via trade, it's BTJ. Via free agency, it's Mike Evans. Maybe it's Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce said today he deserves to be able to test free agency. So we got a lot to go over. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now. File on in.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
This super chat coming in, $10 hauler from my boy Jonathan. Dynasty Superflex. Will you trade Dowdle and Fannin to upgrade at running back, and who would you target? Current running backs are Brees. Dowdle and Fannin. Dowdle's not getting you anything, bro. No one's going to give you much. Fannin, you could, Etienne would be an interesting player. Hendy would be also very interesting. You're going to have to buy somebody that's doubted, somebody that's risky, because Fannin is not going to necessarily get you the world, but he'll get you a lot. You got to think about where Fannin's going in a draft. Very high for tight ends, but he's still falling in the 4 or 5 territory, if we're lucky. So you're really talking about trying to go get a running back. Etienne, you already have Hall. You're not sniffing Hampton. Hendy's doubted right now. There's that possibility you could go get a Hendy right now. Judkins, I personally wouldn't, but I'm just throwing out names that make sense. You could go in a different direction. If you needed a wide receiver, you almost wonder what you could get with almost a free Manung guy in a sense, or not free, but just a cheap. Scadaboo would be in the realm of possibility for a Fannin, but Dowdle's not getting you anything. He's no kicker to get you in a solid position. You look at Kyron, he's too old. I wouldn't want to necessarily do that, or too overworked. Kenneth Walker, Fannin, you might have to throw something else in, but you could head in that direction potentially. 1.2 overall rookie pick to try and replace it. That's what we're talking about. Jonathan, call in for a little more on that if you want to dig a little deeper into that. All right, into the news here. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate you. Anybody drops super chat, I'll get you that standing ovation and we'll do it live. AJB, to me, is a difference maker, but also not necessarily a super long-term option, because he's had knee surgery after knee surgery. He's probably had a scope already, that we don't know about. They're like, hey, AJB, and back in March, this is in September. Back in March, he had a total knee replacement. He's the most under the radar knee scope and knee surgery, meniscus cleanup guy we've seen in the game. He's the best there is in this racket. And so, the knees are eventually going to be an issue. But I think for 2026, I'm not jumping a year early type of thing. I think that way maybe next year in 2027 offseason, I start saying, but for the New England Patriots, you're clamoring over this opportunity. Now, would I rather have AJB over BTJ or Odunze? It's a good question. And I don't think it's crazy to think selfishly short term. I don't think anyone is wild for that kind of thought process. Now, of course, I'd rather have George Pickens, who is tagged but could still get traded on the tag if there's big enough beef. But the problem is that beef won't get big enough and expand enough to make Jerry want to trade him until free agency is like way underway and all these players are ripped from the free agent pool and the rookies have been drafted. Like, I don't think that Pickens can cause a big enough stink. Maybe, unless it's going to be a Crosby trade. Then I believe that a Crosby trade with the Raiders could make some sense for triggering a draft day or sooner, type of trade. But A.J. Brown is probably the most attractive now player if Pickens is not on the table. Pickens is hard to imagine getting traded right now. BTJ is a risky but fun proposition. Odunze is even riskier, less risk, less cost of entry. So there's some pros and cons to going after an Odunze over an AJB and Odunze over a BTJ. Even though Odunze was a number 9 overall pick, he doesn't hold that much weight right now. You drove this vehicle off the lot and lost like 10 grand right away. You're not reselling Odunze at number 9 overall value. You're selling AJB probably more than you're selling Odunze. BTJ might garner more in a trade potentially because he's young and he's only had one bad year. Now, New England could get crafty, try and move up in the draft. Maybe one of these guys will fall. It's possible. Maybe they're interested in the 4th or 5th wide receiver. Alec Pierce said today that he deserves to test free agency, sounding very much like he doesn't want to return to the Indianapolis Colts, which was kind of a surprising comment today when we heard that. So Alec Pierce is certainly in the mix to go to a New England Patriot roster. And I wouldn't mind that if they couple it with a Denzel Boston or they grab some other rookie, Malachi Fields, something like that would make some sense. It would be even more interesting if they brought in Pierce and a Dobbs. That'd be kind of crazy. But at the end of the day, I'd rather have Mike Evans for 1 to 1.5 years than Pierce long term, even though I really like Pierce. But New England's not a situation like LV, where LV, I actually almost like Pierce better in LV than I like an older veteran like Mike Evans, because you got Brock Bowers as your number 1 already. So Pierce makes a lot of sense for the Raiders because then he can be the true number 2 receiver on the team because Brock Bowers would be the 1. If Pierce goes to New England, he's kind of in that same, I would say, mindset that Deontay Johnson was in, Michael Pittman Jr., Quentin Johnston. Like, these guys don't deserve to be in the 1 spots, and they're going to not deliver on expectation. They're very decent number 2s if you put them there, but you can actually ruin their career and derail them if you put too much responsibility on them. I'm not saying Alec Pierce can't deliver. I just don't know that he's a true top 10, top 12 wide receiver, and that's the kind of wide receiver we want Drake May to have. So Mike Evans makes sense. I'd rather have Mike Evans short-term than Alec Pierce long-term in New England. I'd rather have Alec Pierce, period, in LV than Mike Evans because we have Brock Bowers. And we have Alec Pierce playing a real nice role, stretching the field. Brock Bowers stretching the field and rotating, stretching across the field. These guys right here, of course, any team. And I'm not a big Lemon guy, though. So I should say Tate and Tyson, these 2 guys, I want in any one of these spots right here. So can New England trade up high enough to get a Tyson or Tate? I don't know. Tate ran a real slow 40 time that seemed to freak out a lot of people. I don't think NFL GMs across the board are going to be too reactive. Look at Jerry Rice, ran a 4.7. Look at Nico Collins. Look at all these elite wide receivers in the National Football League that ran slow 40 times. 4.5, 4.5 40s, 4.6 40s. Anquan Bolden was like a 4.6, 6, 7, something like that. Anquan Bolden was awfully slow. It doesn't matter, but it does. It doesn't matter, but it does. Perception's reality, Bob. And some teams might let him fall a little bit because, he had the cojones to go out there and run, but they want you to do that. Then when you do it, they punish you for it. No wonder these guys don't run. All Tate's getting is negativity. So could Tate slip enough for a New England Patriot or Buffalo Bill team to trade up and go get him because it's not requiring a top 10 pick anymore? I don't know. On draft day, it will be certainly fun to watch where Tate falls and who he could fall to, because falling could be a gift to the fantasy football community. But going back to the news real quickly, I'll just say AJB, New England feeling very, very fresh right now, even though we've talked about this forever. But it is feeling very, very much like the potential vibes right now of landing spot, predictability, if we're going to try and, do that, play that game. This right here is just a small snippet here that Kyler Murray, the odds-on favorite landing spot for Kyler Murray, as of this morning, it might have shifted. It was the New York Jets, which we talked about yesterday. And I just don't think, I think they'd fail him. But I think in Minnesota, Kyler could get revived. And I've said that for the last handful of weeks. And you can say no to that. And I'm the big Kyler Murray pessimist. I'm a pessimistic Peter when it comes to Kyler Murray. But I'm telling you that O'Connell in that situation is the most ideal to try and get the most out of Kyler. And Kyler, while Kyler failed Arizona and would have continued to fail Arizona, I'm in Arizona, I know. I don't want him. I didn't want him. I didn't want him to sign him. He's not the kind of quarterback I want. And he needs a specific, situation. And I think O'Connell could bring that for him. Alec Pierce says he's earned the right to explore free agency, as your boy just told you, he said. And I'll tell you what, this does not sound like a man that wants to stay in Indy. And he even alluded to a lot of things that make me think that this isn't just an exploratory thing. This is kind of his mindset locked in, is that he was like, we didn't have the team we wanted. We didn't have the success we wanted. He literally crapped all over the team and the progress that they had last year versus supporting it and saying we did some good things. And if we go back, whatever. This guy sounds like a guy that's good as gone. But we'll see. He could flip that script real quickly. Max Crosby, according to the Athletic Mike Silver, the belief is that Max Crosby has exhausted all efforts with the Raiders. And this is where the Pickens potential situation comes into play, where we start talking about the Dallas Cowboys wanting to remedy the mistakes of Jerry Jones' past, where Jerry gets rid of Parsons. The entire world is shocked. They can't believe their eyes. What is he doing? And then this guy wanting top 4 or 5 money, and Jerry knowing that he's not going to pay it probably. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But if he isn't, then he's thinking to himself, wow, I can go rectify the Parsons situation, get Max Crosby. Maybe we can bring in a wide receiver before free agency fully unfolds and we can't get anybody. Or maybe we draft a rookie, or maybe we just let CeeDee Lamb blossom. Now, I'll tell you, from a fantasy perspective, I do want this man in New England. I do want him somewhere else. LV's pretty intriguing because you're going to have Mendoza there. So that's an interesting one. I do want Pickens elsewhere, though. Not because I don't love what it does for Dallas and the Dak attack. The Dak attack stack is something to be watched and reckoned. Watch this.
Oh, Dak attack. Oh, Dak attack. Lamb. Pickens.
So, I want Lamb by himself because I believe Lamb's his best fantasy football version of himself without Pickens in the way. But it doesn't mean that if Pickens stays, we're down on Lamb. Damn Lamb. Lamb comes with an additional discount if he does have Pickens on roster, right? Lamb, if Pickens was traded right away, ASAP, soon as possible, guess where Lamb goes in fantasy football rankings? Abound. Where? Lamb goes from 11, 9, 10, back up to 5, 6. I mean, he climbs a significant amount, relatively speaking, in round 1 if he's his lonesome self again. Not to mention just the mere, buzz around that. Like, we're talking about it. Everybody likes the new shiny thing. And Lamb has kind of been that dusty, elite wide receiver you got on a shelf with cobwebs on it. And if Lamb gets injected into conversations everywhere, guess what happens? Lamb starts going higher because people are talking about him. They're thinking about him. He's now a fresh, asset that you can put on your roster and say, this is glorious. This is maybe the number 1 wide receiver again. And you got bold predictions about it and such. So, do I want Lamb alone in Dallas? Yes. Do I think it's devastating if Pickens stays? No, because we're getting Lamb cheaper and the market reacts to that. So you're paying for the risk you're taking on. I don't mind paying for Lamb with Pickens in town at 11-12. I also don't mind paying wide receiver 6-7 with Lamb alone in Dallas. So either way is fine by me. I'd prefer to have Pickens elsewhere and Lamb by himself. And this would probably be one of the scenarios that we can concoct that would potentially occur and get thrown out there for our dissection and evaluation. This right here, who's surprised? Not yet for Aaron Rodgers. 4-time NFL MVP Aaron Rodgers to Pat McAfee. Anyone on here expecting me to make some big decision on here, just turn it off right now. This guy's going to drag this thing out until week 3. Like, only Aaron Rodgers needs this much time. Only Aaron Rodgers needs this much time. It's ludicrous. As I mentioned, Stephon Diggs was cut, and to me, this is a very significant sign that the Patriots are thinking bigger than Diggs. If they were not thinking bigger than Diggs, they just bring him back. 1,000-yard receiver, did pretty well. Vrabel loves the kid, you know, and so this is very, very, now that the organization does things different. It's not just about Vrabel, but they move on pretty quickly, and they definitely haven't been developing wide receivers anytime recently. They definitely don't hang on to wide receivers anytime recently. That might change, but the maneuver here of getting rid of this money, getting rid of him, having freed up cash, and not wanting Diggs on the roster means they want something bigger, better, brighter. That's why we're talking about this A.J. Brown situation. Now, before I forget, because I don't have necessarily... Oh, yeah. Do I have that? I do have the clipping for it. Hold on. Let me see if I can find that. Because what I really want to talk about right now is Etienne. I think that's coming up here. Let me just let me put Etienne's right here so I don't forget to talk about it. And let me hit this last item before Etienne. And it's real quickly just to say the Steelers are releasing tight end Jonnu Smith. They really wasted his abilities and upside. I don't know what's in store for him. He's not a spring chicken, but I could see him, you know, flourishing in an environment. San Francisco might take a real hard look at Jonnu Smith. It's a very, very San Francisco Shanahan thing to do while Kittle is healing up and Tungus is not necessarily fully healthy. So there's a lot of thought that could go take place. And I know Niner fans everywhere have been saying it. So they think they're getting everybody. But this actually might be one that the Niners look into and kick the tires on. Do I think he could go, you know, to a place like Cincinnati, or could he go to, could he go to, let me pull up the teams in conferences and just like kick around an idea or two? Could he go to Titans? Really hard. Denver would be one option. KC could look at it as, you know, Kelsey's getting older, but is that the route they want? We all kind of want Sadiq to go there. There's a few options. You could go Washington. I think Philly losing Goddard, they might look at it. I mean, there's plenty of spots. He'll be one of the quickest, you know, not named Pitts or the top, you know, 2-3 candidates. He'll be gone pretty quickly, I imagine. Unless he like steps away from the game or something. But Jonnu Smith released and wasted away over in Pittsburgh. All right, this is kind of the hot topic here. Like, and Travis brought this up yesterday, and we hadn't necessarily talked about it yet. There hasn't been much conversation on Etienne at all. You know, it's like, this guy's not tagged, he's not getting a tag, and then just nobody talked about Etienne yesterday or the day before. But let's just, for paperwork purposes, accounting purposes, for just getting, you know, the facts out there for those of you living under a rock and not watching the show every single day. Players not tagged. This was yesterday. Seahawks Kenneth Walker, if you didn't know, he's a free agent. Alec Pierce, not tagged, he's a free agent. Both of which sound very, very much like they want to go shopping and see what they can get, which is good. I like to hear that. Good for them. Travis Etienne, Jaguars running back. Now, this is a man that has gone on record and said, I do not want to play in cold weather. I do not want to play in cold weather. Joe, I got your super chat here. I'm going to answer it right when I get through the news here. And Racing Boy, appreciate your super chat as well. I got it right here. I'll answer that as soon as the news is over. And let me go to Rumble real quick and to see if I have any Rumble rants hanging out or anybody that may or may not. Let's see, Rumble. Let me pull up my Rumble here. See if there's any Rumble rants hanging around. And guys, appreciate all of you on Rumble. Truly do. You guys are magnificent. Let me see what I got here. Landman in the building. Bare Bones, appreciate you. USAF, Aldi, Bullfrogs, 420 Man Turbo. You guys are all in the building tonight. Appreciate you. Etienne has gone on record and said, I do not want to play in cold weather. And for anybody that knows a little math, you start eliminating options. You might not have the teams that are in dire straits for a running back deciding to maybe go in a route of bringing in a running back. You're not going to have those teams knocking on your door, or if you're shutting the door, not answering the door when they come and knocking, your options start getting smaller and smaller because there's just only so many teams that need an RB. But you do wonder if this guy who's a very, very, and we felt the same way about Walker, but he seems like he's going to return, or not necessarily going to return home. But you start looking at these situations and you say, well, Etienne can play here. He'd like that. KC, he would love playing in KC. New Orleans Saints, he'd love playing in New Orleans. He'd love playing in Washington. These aren't that bad. These are good options for Etienne. These fit, in many cases, all of his criteria to them for the most part. And so there is a chance he goes to one of these teams. I truly believe he'd be a good fit in any four of these squads right here. Any four of them. If Walker does leave Seattle, has anybody thought for a second that this man will walk straight over and play the Kenneth Walker role over in Seattle? And it's not Kubiak anymore, so they might not necessarily lean on Sharps at all. That was a Kubiak thing. You know, I don't know that that's going to be the case if someone brings Etienne in. And Sharps isn't going to be ready anyway. He has a torn ACL. I wonder if Etienne, the Saints have a lot of money. They have some of the most money to go get a player like this and literally put themselves back in the same position as last year. It's a very intriguing thought process if Walker does end up leaving. Breece Hall probably staying with the Jets, tagged, but still could get traded on the tag, but he's not going to get raptured from the team on some sort of offer sheet, because then the team that sends the offer sheet in Breece Hall's direction and the Jets decide not to match, you would be surrendering 2 first-rounders. That's not going to happen. So the only thing for Breece Hall would be a trade on the tag, and then he signs a new deal as soon as he gets to his new home or in transition. KC, yeah, it would be tough to see Etienne play there given his cold criteria or his lack of cold criteria. But I don't know. I think you'd be hard pressed to turn down playing with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. So I don't think he's going to turn that one down. This fits all of his criteria other than that piece. But man, I mean, the Vikings, the Saints, I mean, these are good spots for him overall if he wants to go play in a certain kind of weather, a certain kind of air conditioned weather. I think Etienne is a real good chance of being on the move. He's a free agent, damn it, But the thing about Etienne that makes me like just wonder is he seems so laid back. You know, so did Walker though. But Etienne seems so laid back. I believe he loves where he is. And there could have been, like we thought about Walker, and still think there could be with Walker, some sort of like handshake deal. Like, you know, we need to keep this money not locked down on your tag. Because when you tag somebody, that money's on the books for that offseason. Whereas you sign somebody to an extension, which they might be trying to work on, they say, okay, we're going to trust you. You trust us. We're not going to tag you. And he's like, good, because he doesn't want to be tagged. No player wants to be tagged. It's a prison tag is what they call it. It's a prison sentence, they call it in the NFL. The players call it a prison tag because it really holds you in place. It was never designed to be used on running backs, wide receivers. The franchise tag was mainly and only meant to be used on quarterbacks. So no player wants to be tagged. Etienne might be working out a deal as we speak, and you know, might have said, don't tag me. Don't worry about it. You know, I'm coming back. You know, as long as you're paying me, you know, we'll figure it out. Okay. And then if they don't, I mean, that's part of the risk. You can't guarantee it when you're doing a handshake deal like that because you got to work out the deal of the contract. So that's that. I don't know where Etienne goes, but we haven't heard much about it. And I think it's crazy that we haven't. These 2 super chats, this one from Racing Boy with a $10 hauler, Racing Boy to the mother freaking moon. I smell meatloaf. Meatloaf. Racing Boy, appreciate you. 12-man Superflex Dynasty startup so far. Mahomes, Burrow, running backs, Bijan, K9, Tootin, Warren, wide receivers, Burden, Watson, Evans, P. Wash, Troy Franklin, Tucker, Laporta likely. Thoughts so far? Yeah. I mean, the wide receivers are a little thin. I'm trying to. Okay, so you took Bijan 1. You took. Would you take number 2 overall? Is this super flex? Okay, so you took. Oh, sorry, you took Burrow. Then you took Bijan. So Burrow, Bijan, and then Mahomes. Yeah, I mean, Superflex is a pretty good team. I like it. Evans, I mean, you went veteran shopping. P. Wash, love P. Wash. Watson's very undervalued. It's pretty good. I mean, I would love to beef up the wide receiver room a little bit. I think BTJ, it's some risky move there. Something along those lines. But you got to do what you got to do, and you couldn't have done a better job considering. Like, I would have probably avoided drafting K9 and would have went with a cheaper route and maybe beefed up the wide receiver room there. I'd maybe explore trading K9 for a wide receiver personally. I'm not a huge long-term K9 guy. I love K9, but he can't stay healthy, So that part, I think that's the only place I would have went different, and then I would have went after like a Manung guy or something like that, and taking a little bit more of a risk, or a rookie at the running back 2 spot. But that's me. But I like the team. You did a really good job. Your quarterbacks are off the hook. Bijan, I mean, you can't complain there. I like it, man. I like it a lot. I'd be tempted to see what Bijan down for Love downgrade could get you a wide receiver, and if you could take advantage of somebody, I'd entertain that. What am I missing with the Alec Pierce hype? I don't think you're missing anything, because I told you I don't think he's a top 10 wide receiver or top 12 wide receiver. So I'm not out here saying that he's going to be a freaking world star or anything, but I do believe he's got a lot of appeal in the context of where I define him, as a wide receiver 2 on a team, or a pretty elite wide receiver 2, field stretcher. And for everybody that says stuff like, hey, Smitty, you look at the metrics. Haven't you seen the metrics? And a lot of people will come in and say, according to the data, it's unsustainable. All he did was catch these deep balls. That it's just remarkably unsustainable. You could also say that the guy did a lot with a little, and if he was given the football in a lot of more short yardage crossing route situations, he'd deliver there too. So you can't define somebody having anomaly stats as somebody that can't do the other things when they're in kind of a unique situation. I mean, the truth is, he would deliver when called upon on deep balls that are highly unlikely to be caught footballs versus shorter routes. This is like when you think Ridley back in Jacksonville, when he just do go routes. The likelihood of him catching a ball even one time in a game was like very low. But he almost had 2 or 3 touchdowns a game. We go, Ridley almost in Jacksonville. Remember that? Ridley almost scored twice, but he had 0 catches. So, the fact that Pierce is getting sent on these, this escapade of deep go routes and post routes and all these lesser likely to convert, tosses, and he's delivering, that says something. Like, you can't just define him as somebody that can't sustain. But I like him. No one on this channel is telling you he's a top 10 wide receiver. No one's saying it at all. All right, phone lines are going to be open here in a second, and I'll take your phone calls here, and we'll go ahead and K9 is one of the best running backs in the NFL. I mean, define one of the best. What number is that for you, Big Profit? Because if you're trying to say one of the best, to me, one of the best is like the top 2, 3, or 4 overall running backs. You start getting into like 10. There's not even 32 elite running backs in the National Football League in a starting position. So one of the best in the league is kind of a tall order, unless you have a very loose-based definition of one of the best running backs in the league being top 10, top 12. I don't think he's anywhere near the top 5. So how is he one of the best in the league? I do love him. Like, look, we there's no like show or content creator that talked more about Kenneth Walker and his emergence. So we called Kenneth Walker. We called him, but he has a tough time staying healthy, and I love him, but I'm not going to put him in one of the best in the league. But I do think that he can be really, really good if he stays healthy and is in the right spot. And those are 2 very big question marks that have not yet been solved, one of which won't get solved till the end of the year, which is the injury history. the injury concern, but he's also now has to land on a good spot. Am I crazy if I trade Rice for the 1.6? Probably. You're selling Rice extremely low. I'm not saying don't get out, but bro, you can't get out on the assumption that he's going to get suspended again. We don't know. It's up in the air right now. We have no clarity on whether he's going to get suspended again. If anybody doesn't know, he's back in trouble. Rice can't stay out of trouble, even if it's his past just coming back to haunt him, which it doesn't sound like it's necessarily all new, but it's the way he's lived his life the last handful of years, and it's all kind of coming back to kind of bite him right now. So we don't know what's going to happen, but I don't know that I'm selling him for 1.6. I mean, I guess I would tell you that when you're on the clock and you could give me the names, I might be able to have you hit the yes button if we're adding something else to it. But I don't think we're saying do that preemptively. Like if that pick's on the clock and the right person fell, and we're talking about Sadiq, and you're getting like another top of round 2 pick downstream, or you're getting a player that you absolutely love, like Manungai, like Sadiq and Manungai, and you're trading Rice away, and maybe you're getting another pick somewhere, or a pick swap, or you can swap his first rounder for your first rounder for the next 3 years because his team is trash and yours is great. And you're giving him a first rounder. He's not losing anything. Like, you got to get creative. Phone line's open. Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Yep. Dial in. We'll have to get the speaker out today because I don't think I've been working all day on this system. It's maxed out resource wise to the moon. So I know we're gonna have things. Opinion on underdog ADPs for Kittle, Judkins, and Jones. You'll have to tell me them. I don't have the information in front of me right now. I would say based on what I remember their ADPs to exactly be, they're decent values. Like Judkins, if it's me, I'm not drafting Judkins as anything near like a running back 2. Like there's no way. And honestly, I could find probably 5 or 10, at least a handful, running back 3 like flex plays that I like better than Judkins, or a flex wide receiver I like better than Judkins. But I'm not starting Judkins this year. Coming off that brutal injury in a bad system that hasn't thrown to him yet. He's only been in the league a year, but the historical data we have right now is that Judkins walked in as a guy that we didn't think they were going to throw the ball to, and he walks out as a guy that he didn't get the ball thrown to. And while Tommy Reese is now the OC in Atlanta, not in Cleveland, we don't know what's in store, but I can't sit here and say with good confidence that I think Judkins is going to get thrown to a ton by a coach in Munkin that didn't throw to Derrick Henry ever. So you know what I'm saying? So for me, it's not a good bet, in my opinion, to go after Judkins at his cost of entry. Kittle, I don't think I'd touch Kittle in yearly leagues, unless he was like just in like almost waiver wire territory, meaning you're like picking up your last 2 or 3 guys, and sometimes you cut those guys right after the waivers open again, and you're like, I should have drafted him. Like, I could take Kittle there. And Kittle in best ball, I don't even know that I love that, because I just rather draft a Sadiq. I'd rather draft a guy like that's falling really, really late. He's fallen really far. I'd rather draft either of the top 2 QB or 2 rookie tight ends. And Daniel Jones coming off an Achilles, just not my favorite. These are just, you pick 3 guys I'm just not clamoring to go grab and put on my roster in any capacity. But their ADPs aren't like ridiculous though. I have to look what they updated to, but if you want to spit those out to me, I could tell you. Or you know what would be even better, bro? Just give me the 2 or 3 names above or below that you want me to compare and say, dimes are these 2, or this, this guy or this guy. That would probably serve you better if you could grab some names around the player. I got Lamb and Genty in the first 2 rounds. Thoughts on that start? Lamb and Genty. I do like that. Yeah. I mean, would I draft it in every draft? No. But I certainly love Lamb still. There's some concern with Pickens' presence, whether he can really establish himself as a top 4 or 5 wide receiver, for multiple years going forward. But if Pickens does end up getting traded in that Crosby-related deal that we think could be cooked up, then Lamb goes to the moon. And I still love Genty. Genty as a second-round player or second-drafted player is a gold mine. I do like Love more at this current moment in time, but Genty's in the top 5 running backs for me. So you have a fantastic team that I love, but definitely get variety going. Diversify your fantasy football portfolio, and make sure you're doing it live. All right, let me go to these phone callers real quickly. Everybody, please stay muted. But Landman, you're live, young man.
Smitty, what's up? How you doing?
I'm good, bro.
Hey, I'm looking for some value here. My Commanders need a lot of help, but I'm just specifically looking at a couple of moves. I'm thinking about Goddard picking up the tight end and Pierce to stretch the field a little bit. Scary Terry, keep those hammies healthy because he's a good route runner, but I think he's more of a mid-range receiver now. And, again, just some small help. That way they don't have to spend a lot of money. They got a lot of cap space. They got $75 million, I think. What do you think of those moves? There's some not big splash moves, but I think they're pragmatic. And
they're not bad.
Also, Goddard picks up, some inside info being in the division with the Eagles. So, he can help out while he's over.
I don't mind that move. And I don't mind Pierce. Yeah. But like with Drake May, I want JD5 and Drake May to have just a little bit better wide receiver. Because, again, he's a wide receiver too. And it could be an elite one, but he's a wide receiver too. And if you put him in, and he's going to be with McLaurin for the 1 year, but I want someone that can overtake McLaurin. So for me, I would rather go get a different position of need through free agency and use this draft capital to go get one of the 2 top wide receivers that are Tate or Tyson. So for me, 7 should be a wide receiver. I think you can't, unless you go get Mike Evans, which I know is not a long-term solution, or even better, you go trade for BTJ, you go trade for Adunze, or you trade for AJ Brown. I like those moves better than drafting like Lemon, but I love drafting Jordan Tyson probably most of all because of the long-term impact. You don't have to trade draft capital. On top of that, I would say Tyson is the best pick the Commanders could make, period, unless they draft Jeremiah Love. So Jeremiah Love and Tyson in that order. Sadiq would be interesting in Washington too. I want a big-name player like that, bro. I like Alec Pierce, but give me Sadiq, give me Tyson, give me Jeremiah Love. And then we use the free agent market to fill in the other voids. Let me merge this call real quick. 267, just mute yourself, please, so there's no background noise, and I'll be right with you, 267. That's my thinking. And even a Mike Evans works. Why not bring Mike Evans anyway? You draft.
I'm okay with that. I think they only got one running back still signed right now. They need running back. I think
Jeremiah Love.
I think they could. Yeah, I do. Either him or Wash. I tell you what, Wash has really moved up after the combine.
I mean, he won't be around 1, but I think he could be a great second round, late or third round pick. It depends on where he falls, but definitely climbing up boards. He looks fantastic, but there's still people that don't necessarily. Mute yourself real quick, caller. I'll be right with you in 1 second, but please hit mute. It's hard to say, my man. It's hard to say what they're going to do. I would use this number 7 on a skill position player because I think you can find. I mean, look at Cooper DeJean as an example of a guy that goes at the tail end of round 1. There's so much talent if you find it right, and Adam Peters is the right man for the job in Washington to identify that. He did it with Kittle. He did it with Brock Purdy. He did it with Ayuk. He does it time and time again. And we can rip on Adam Peters because of last year, but there's injuries and a lot of unforeseen things that I don't blame on Adam Peters at all. But there's a real likelihood that Adam Peters could crush, these later picks. So why not take the big time skill position player and take some of the guesswork out? Because Jordan Tyson's the guy. Sadiq is the guy, and Jeremiah Love is the guy, and Carnell Tate as well. But if it's me, you got 3 prime elite top 6 to 10 potential overall players at their position, and Sadiq, who I think is actually top 3 or 4 potential at his position. Jordan Tyson's next CeeDee Lamb potentially. Lamb in his prime of being by himself without Pickens, if you need to think about it that way, anybody out there. And Jeremiah Love is in the Bijan Gibbs tier. Even if he's right below both of them in your minds, he's in the tier. He's not on the tier below. He's in that tier. You don't pass on generational talent, which is all three of those guys. Tyson has risk of not delivering, but he's got generational ability. And Jeremiah Love is, unless he got hurt or something, is almost a lock. And Sadiq, unless he gets hurt or goes to a horrible situation, then gets hurt because of it, is almost a lock. Jordan Tyson's not a lock, but his talent he's bleeding talent, and the other two are absolute locks. If you don't use this number 7 pick on a skill position player and take advantage of the ability to go find those hidden gems that are more plentiful in amount in the second, early second, late first. You could trade up into the late first if you want to get somebody like the next Cooper DeJean type of gem of a player, like the Eagles stole away from the Niners when the Niners were announcing Cooper DeJean. The whole Niner fan base wanted Cooper DeJean. He was totally known. Everybody knew who he was. He was an absolute steal. The Niners were turning in the card. And then Shanahan, there was word that Shanahan was trying to find out who the rat was in the organization. And so they turned in the card of Cooper DeJean and then switched it, some say, to try and find out who the rat was. Social media blew up everywhere. If you guys remember, we were live. And it was Niners take Cooper DeJean. And everybody on Twitter is posting it. Niners select Cooper DeJean. Boom, 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 boom. And it goes, Niners didn't select Cooper DeJean. And it's like, what a disaster. It's Ricky Pearsall. What a disaster. So my point is, don't Ricky Pearsall this. Don't Keon Coleman this thing. Don't Matthew Golden this thing. Those are where those guys live. At the 1-2 turn or the top of 2. That's Matthew Golden. That's Keon Coleman. That's Alec Pierce. Ricky Pearsall. Let's go get the CeeDee Lamb. Let's go get the Jeremiah Love. Let's do it live. That's what I would do. If you want.
Yeah, I think you take Jeremiah because DC needs more love. You know, so
They do.
That's who I'd like to see him take. If Jeremiah's available at 7,
He might not be.
That's your first.
He might be gone at 3. He might be gone at 3. He's probably more likely. He's more likely to go 3 right now to the Cardinals than he is to fall to 9, and he's probably slightly more likely to be gone by 7 than to be available by 7. But at least you're getting closer to that.
Yeah.
All right.
I need help on the other side of the ball, but another rap thing.
All
Thanks
right.
a lot.
Yeah, call back if you got another one, Layman. All right, later, bro. This one here from Rush. Rush, appreciate your super chat. Rush dropping a wad. I'm going to add you, caller, in a little bit. I'm going to, let's see here. I can't add anymore. I got a full phone line, my boy. Somebody's trying to dial in right now. Call back in just a minute when I open back up the phone lines again. This one here, opinion on the Underdog ADPs. Oh, I did that one already. Okay, thank you, Rush. Appreciate your super chat. All right, Travis Rowe, you're live.
Yeah, so just quick on the Commanders. They only have 6 picks in the draft, which is going to limit them. So decisions to make what they have to do because they need help on both sides of the ball. I agree. I want more in the offense, but even if one of these stud defensive guys fall, they may have to take him, one of them, you know, like a Caleb Downs or no, I don't think he will, but Bailey.
Yeah, what I want never happens. Yeah.
I do agree, like with the pick. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, by no means am I predicting. Like, I want to make it very clear. These teams do different things than I want them. Someone says, what do you want them to do? Like, someone will come in here and go, Smitty, I saw your live stream. You said that Love was going to the Commanders. Like, in no way, shape, or form did I say that was happening. I'm telling you what I want to happen, what should happen. But the truth of the matter is these teams make bad decisions all the time. I'm never in the business of trying to predict necessarily what the teams are doing unless someone asks me a direct question like that, or we're trying to go over both, you know, we're trying to predict the likelihood of somebody being available and we're like, okay, I think they're going to do this. I mean, of course, cover that. But just in general sense, when I start talking about what could happen, what should happen, Landman wants to know what I think about it. That's what I think about it. But do I believe that teams are aggressive enough to go get AJB? Hopefully one team is. Do I think teams were aggressive enough to go get Breece Hall? I would have thought they would have been, and I would have predicted last year before the trade deadline that the Chiefs would have not played hardball with a 3rd-round pick to get Breece Hall. They wanted to give a 4th-round pick. Would I have predicted that to happen? No. So it's hard to predict what things are going to happen because it's not like we're trying to predict talent. We're witnessing talent. We got the eye test. We're looking at metrics. We're looking at everything. We're trying to predict if a player's going to do well. That's in our control to some degree to call those things. But calling what an organization's going to do decision-making wise is like the dumbest bet you could make. That's why the NFL mock drafts that anybody creates are always ripped on by the fan base because the fan base sees something different and they don't know either. The fan base wants this and they're always shocked. My team sucks. Why'd they do this? Like, so when people yell at me on a mock draft, like, why do you have the Commanders taking this? It's never going to happen. It's like, it's never going to happen in your mind of what should happen because I can tell you right now, anything can happen. Any team can screw up. Look at the Cooper DeJean thing. Look at taking Richie Pearsall over Cooper DeJean. Everyone knew that was the wrong move. Even the Niners did because they turned in a card that said Cooper DeJean, then took it back, and then said, never mind, put in Pearsall. So teams will do dumb stuff all the time. All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Trez.
And I was just going to say quick, I'll let you get to other callers too. I think Mike Evans, fits with a team like the Commanders. I know they need to get younger eventually, but I think the best place for Mike Evans, a place to go where, he's the number one, but if he goes down, there's someone capable of filling the number one spot where, obviously, Terry McLaurin could do that because if you get a team that goes all in on him for a year at the number one spot and he goes down and you have no one else, well, the offense is not through. That's what worries me about. I don't believe Evans can play a full year.
He might not be able to. Yeah.
He did so he could surprise, but
certainly a risk.
Better in a spot like that with another veteran receiver.
Well, I mean, Evans said that one of his criteria was that he get fed massively. It wasn't one of those like I want to go somewhere and kind of get a ring and kind of just contribute. He's like I want to go somewhere to get massive volume. So that might put him in a good spot, and then he gets hurt maybe. But this one from Rush. Rush says tight end George Kittle. He's speaking code here. 120.4 running back Quinshon Judkins 55 and QB Daniel Jones 150. Those are very okay ADPs. There's nothing wrong with them. Except for I don't like Quinshon Judkins 55. I think that's way too early. But like these, there's nothing wrong with them, especially in best ball if you draft Kittle as your, third tight end or something, and then you're just going to get him to do something later and you don't have to predict when to start him because it's best ball and it's optimal scoring that started for you. But like in redraft, I'm not hanging on to Kittle through week 7, 8, 9, 10, and spending the cost of entry on top of that. And then, Daniel Jones coming back from an Achilles. You don't even know where he's going to be. So there's that. I mean, he's going to get wined and dined by a few teams. He's not locked in. And then, what was the other one? Oh, just Quinshon Judkins. I just don't. He went to a team where he wasn't throwing the ball to. He was drafted as a player that no one thought would get the ball thrown to him. And now he's got a new coach that didn't throw the ball to Derrick Henry ever. So, Quinshon Judkins, I'm just out. The Browns are not a good team. And, my saying, draft players on good teams and draft players in good scenarios. All right, hold on one second, Travis. Let me circle around the phone line. Purple John, then over to 267, then over to 951. I'll go as fast as I can. Purple John, as quickly as you can.
Hey, Smitty, thanks for the asking for your flag plants, my guys in round 2 rookie draft for Dynasty, not named Mike Washington.
I mean, look, Emmett Johnson is probably gonna either fall. It depends where he goes. This question is a little hard to answer because, the top two tight ends are awesome, but do they both go in round 1? Hard to say where they both land. Does Coleman, Emmett Johnson, Jadarian Price? Probably Price is going around every rookie draft, but again, it depends on where they land. If Emmett Johnson lands in that Vikings, vacant spot, then he goes to the moon. And he's not going to go in the second round, so it's really hard to say. I would probably just say that, Washington is my absolute favorite, and he probably, if he goes somewhere good, is going in the top 10, top 7, top 8. That's my absolute favorite. I'm not a huge second round guy when I'm looking at these rookies, and quite honestly, I'll pull up my thefantasyfootballshow.com rankings and tell you what kind of pops. Guys, go check out my thefantasyfootballshow.com rankings. Everything's been revamped on the whole entire site. It's unbelievable. If I sort by rookies and just kind of glance, Casey Concepcion, Ted Hurst is a really good option, but he's gaining more and more steam. He might go at the top or the bottom of round 1. Denzel Boston, Ted Hurst, Chris Bell, Jonah Coleman, Emmett Johnson, Katron Allen, Seth McGowan, and Ty Simpson's interesting.
Omar Cooper, Zachariah Brand.
Yeah.
Depending on landing spot.
Basically, listen, everybody. Just everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is everybody's listed there until we get landing spot.
Well, like out of those guys,
Hurst.
like not really dependent upon landing spot, we don't know yet. Are any of them for baseball too in your eyes?
Well, those guys haven't developed yet. Those guys haven't.
Guys over and over.
I would say Emmett Johnson, Coleman, Katron Allen. We're assuming Washington's gone. And then at wide receiver, it's Ted Hurst, Casey Concepcion, but if he goes somewhere great. Yeah, Claiborne too. Yeah, thank you. Claiborne for sure. Love Claiborne. I actually have Claiborne as my number 3-4 running back right now. But so that's why I didn't list him, is because in my mind he's gone. But you're right, it's not necessarily going to be the case. But again, we're spinning our wheels here, Purple John, because if Claiborne goes somewhere amazing, he's not going to be in the second round. So we kind of don't have, and this class is not.
In blue, we're landing spot dependent too. We liked them especially more once they got to where they were.
Yeah.
Appreciate it a lot, guys. Have a great night.
Later, bro. All right, that was Purple John. Now we're going over to 267, then over to 951 after that. 267 as quickly as you can. I'm going to cut you off and hang up on you if you take too long. Go.
Hey, Smitty, what's up? Just real quick keeper question. So I'm in a big keeper league, 1 quarterback, start 3 wide receiver, PPR. I can choose one of these guys to keep. Drake May, JD5, Emeka Egbuka, or Luther Burden. I lean Drake May just because we get bonus points for things like TD yardage, so quarterbacks tend to score points. My other quarterback that I have is Jalen Hurts. He doesn't get a lot of points in our league. And then my other 2 keeper wideouts are JSN and
So you said this is a super flex?
No, just 1 quarter.
Okay. So you have Hurts already, though. That makes it tough. Okay, so May, JD5, Burden, and who else?
Egbuka.
Okay. And there's no round that you're keeping him in? You just keep him?
Yeah, no. So I can keep JD5 or Luther Burden. I'm sorry, JD5 or Egbuka in the 7th.
Well, this is important information. Okay.
May would be the 9th round.
Okay. And then Burden? Not that I'm going to keep him.
Burden's the 8th.
Okay. Well, I mean, I like Buka in 7, but guess what, man? He's still going to fall like pretty far. So like you're not having to overpay that much more. You are, but not like extremely. So I'm still going to get Buka in the draft. But yeah, I probably take May, I guess. But this is a tough thing. If you can't trade one of them, it is kind of a little bit of a bind to be in this spot where you got Hurts and May, and you're not even getting trading partners. Nobody wants to trade for him, and you could have just had Buka and Hurts. So I guess I say this with caution. If you're not going to be able to pull off a trade, like these guys are asleep at the wheel, then I don't know that you're making the smartest move, but you are getting the best value. It's kind of tough to say. I don't know your league. But can you trade Hurts for something? Can you trade Hurts for a Buka later? Or can you trade Hurts for anything?
It's possible. The problem in our league, like I said, is there's bonus points for things like TD yardage. And with Hurts, as we know, he doesn't really throw a ton. He really doesn't get a lot of points in our league like he would in a
So why are you keeping Hurts and not Buka and keeping May? Why is this decided for you?
So you can keep, I should have specified. You can keep a guy every 3 rounds in this league. It's 27 rounds. So I happen to have Jalen Hurts in the 18th, where I have no other guys around him.
Okay.
So it's a no-brainer to keep him. But that bracket there that I just mentioned to you is 7, 8, 9. So I have to pick one of those guys.
I would in a vacuum. I'm just keeping Drake May. and then I try and figure it out. I roll the dice just because it's not like you're getting Buka, we believe Buka could be like second round. I believe Buka could still be second round equivalent material. You're not paying that obviously, but I think he could return that. Like he could get back to that point, but that doesn't matter because you can go get him in the 4th or 5th round probably. So Buka is somebody that you're not getting the biggest round advantage on anyway. And Burden, I like him, but same thing. I'm keeping Drake Man. I'm trying to figure it out. Plus, in worst case scenario, you have 2 really good quarterbacks and you'll be okay. But yeah. All right. Call back if you got another one, bro.
Right on. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Other caller here, 951 as quick as you can. 951. Go ahead. And then I'll get to Racing Boy.
Hey, Smitty, it's Jonathan.
What's up, Jonathan?
I submitted the
all right, let me get
super chat. Dowdle and Fannin. Can I upgrade an RB?
Yes, sir.
Newton or Anderson, or how about using a combination of those running backs that I have against my love?
What running backs do you have?
I got Brees Hall, Bucky, Dowdle, Chuba, Trey Benson, and Malunga.
Okay, so Hall, Bucky, Fannin. I mean, you could try. I don't think anyone's giving for Fannin and Hall for 1.1. You certainly could try. I wonder if you start throwing in like a future first rounder into the equation, and you could probably get something else with it. So if you went Fannin and Hall plus a first, and then you're talking like 2028 or something. You're just going to kick the can down the road. I just don't think you're going to get this without giving up something massive. So you're going to give up a future first rounder. And then would I do that if I'm getting something here? Yeah. What is that going to be? I don't know. What's the 1.1 owner have on his team?
He's got Jackson Dart. He's got RJ Harvey, Ramondre Stevenson. That's about it. He doesn't really have much. He's in a complete rebuild. But he doesn't have anything.
Are you in a rebuild?
No, I'm not in a rebuild. I'm contending. I'm just trying to get so I'm in a Dynasty Super 6 week start 9. It's 2 flex. My Q row. Brees Hall, Bucky, Dowdle, Cuba, Trey Benson, and Manungai. Got JJ.
Okay.
One of my flex spots a lot.
I mean, maybe you can get rid of like MHJ. I don't know. Like you could do Fannin, Hall, MHJ for 1.1 and something, but like he doesn't have much. I don't know. I'd love to get his first rounder in 2027. I'll be trying to work that in somehow. I don't know if you can. Bro, I'm crazy. Like, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking giving up like 2 first rounders, your 2027 and your 2028, if you can even do that, to try and get his first rounder here, and hoping I'm overwhelming him to give me the 1.1 for the Fannin and Hall situation. His team sounds awful.
Like that.
His team sounds awful. So if you get Jeremiah Love, and what if you end up getting Jeremiah Smith, out of this deal? I wouldn't. You what?
Next year, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what I'm saying. Go get next year's 2027. I wrote it right here. 2027 first. You probably can't see that, I guess. 2027 first rounder and the 1.1. So you're trying to get back-to-back 1.1s, but you have to overwhelm him. You have to give him multiple. Like, I guess, you know what I would probably even do? I don't know. What's your pick this year?
So I have the 208.
You don't
have any first.
Damn it.
And I don't have my first next year because I traded with CJ Stroud and Case Mitchell to get James.
I mean, you might have to trade Bucky. Would he take Fannin and Bucky, and can you trade a 28 first rounder?
No, I can't trade any 20.
Okay, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, bro. Try Fannin and Hall, and
Tune? What about Tune? Etienne,
You're gonna have to wait for that though.
one there.
Yeah, but you gotta have to wait for that. No one's gonna buy Tune right now at all. What about? So I guess I would look at MHJ. See what you can do to get his first rounder by adding in like MHJ, Fannin, and Bucky, or MHJ, Fannin, and Hall, and you're trying to get these 2 picks. I don't know that you're going to get this, but if you don't, you have to get something in here. But I don't think Fannin and Hall is going to do it. I don't think Fannin and Bucky is going to do it. You could try, and I would do either one. If you could give up second rounders to get it done, sure. What?
Should I start off Bucky, MHJ, and next year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely would do that. MHJ, Fannin, Hall, and any second rounders you got to give them whatever for the 2 first rounders. But if you can't get this first rounder, if you're throwing MHJ in, don't do other picks necessarily, but Fannin, MHJ, and Hall, you have to get something significant here, and I don't know that he has it, but you could do a future first rounder or something like that. But I mean, the way I see it, looking at this, who's your tight end if you get rid of Fannin? And then I got to run to the next caller.
I got McBride and Kmet.
Okay, so you're not losing at tight end. You're upgrading at running back, and MHJ, we don't even know what he is. So this deal might sound like a lot, Fannin, MHJ, and Hall for 1.1 and something, but it's not. It's really not. If you love, love. If you love, baby.
Yeah.
All right. Got to go. Call back if you got another one. Yeah, all right, appreciate you, bro. Later. All right, Bruce, you're loose, but let me answer this question real quick by Racing Boy. Racing Boy, thank you for this. Racing Boy to the moon with the super chat, and then let me just look at Rumble real quickly, make sure Rumble doesn't have anything pending as well. Appreciate all of you over on Rumble, guys. We're at 5.47K on Rumble. At 10K, we do the Rumble show, or if someone drops that 500 crypto wallet Rumble wallet tip, and then we dedicate the entire show to them. And by the way, on the trade calculator, the highest super chat of the year is in the trade calculator on the fantasyfootballshow.com. You just search for yourself. It's not in the drop down, but if you click the search button when you're in the calculator, and you can search for any player you want. If you search for yourself, 420 man is the highest super chatter of the year. And so 420 man can be searched for. You can also search for Travis and myself. There are 3 people in the trade calculator, but you can't find it in the drop down. It's a little, little Easter egg. You click on the magnifying glass, search for 420 man, just put 4 in, you'll see him. And the highest super chat of the year will always be in the trade calculator, which is kind of fun because you get to try and trade yourself anytime you want. You're just bored. See how much you're worth. I guarantee you it's more than you think. Where was I? I was on, what screen was I on? I was on this one, no. Where was I? Phone call screen, right? This one? Damn it, where is it? Here it is. So what about maybe K9 for T and Harvey, or T and Manungai? T and Manungai is interesting. Or BTJ in Algier.
So the only question I have there is if Walker goes to like the Chiefs, Saints, something, I think you're going to regret that.
Yeah, Travis is right.
You only have a week, because I think he'll sign, well, maybe a week and a half.
He's definitely going somewhere good. I'm with Travis on this one. Wait.
Somewhere good.
Yeah.
And you'll know within a week.
And I like Walker. I love Walker, but I would definitely wait for the buzz like Travis is saying, and then once it's high, then try and trade him because everybody will want him. But I still would look to trade him. I think I would because I don't know. I wouldn't mind having him. Like, certainly, if he's in KC, it's going to be really fun. But
yeah.
I don't.
If he's in KC or New Orleans or wherever, I want him over T and Harvey.
Oh, of course.
You more for him too.
Yeah,
either way.
Yeah, just wait. Just absolutely wait. You selling them now is like you're hearing the housing market's going to go crazy in a month, but you're going to sell your house today. Like, it doesn't make any sense, Racing Boy. I just, who was there when you drafted him, I don't know. But I certainly, like Travis said, wait. It's very good advice. All right, Bruce, you're loose, and then over to Travis, then we're back at midnight. I can't stay too long, fellas, so as fast as you can, Bruce.
Hey, Smitty, but the Chiefs trading today, and now they have their 2 first-round picks. Do you think they're going to wine and dine Breece Hall and maybe try to get him?
Nope.
And say,
nope. Bruce, nobody gives up 2 first-rounders to go after a running back like that. It's not going to happen. They could have got him for a 3rd-round pick. You think you're going to spend 2 first-rounders now, even out of principle? Hell no. No one's rapturing Breece Hall away from his tag in surrendering 2 first-rounders. Is not happening. The only thing that could happen is Breece Hall gets traded. Which he could still get traded on the tag. That's not an impossible thing at all. Just like T. Higgins, he could get traded on the tag very easily. And why would you do that? Why would you do that? Let me explain it. If you got George Pickens and you don't want to sign him to a top 5 per year deal, but you also know he's super valuable, you're going to hold him in place and say, I'm going to try and get his number down, but if his number is not going down, we've tagged him and we're just going to send him off for something. Because if you don't tag him, you lose him. You lose him to free agency. Kenneth Walker not getting tagged, they lost him. It was a dumb move, to be honest. They should have just tagged him. You tag him, and then you say, hey, he's tagged. What do you want to give us for him? Oh, we'll give you, something small. Okay, here it is. You get I don't understand why you wouldn't tag Kenneth Walker. It doesn't make any sense. But Breece Hall being tagged doesn't mean he's not going anywhere. They have made it very, very known that they want to sign him to a long-term deal, though. So probably is likely to get done. But if they can't meet on a number, like Pickens getting tagged doesn't mean he wants to stay. And Jerry could just make him play on the tag. It's a reasonable number at $28 million, between $28 and $29 million. It's not that bad. Pickens is so worth that. So Jerry's not afraid to play him on the tag. And even though you tag someone 2 years in a row, it goes up by, I think it's 15% of the previous year's amount, so that you are paying more when you double tag somebody back to back, but he'd still be worth it because his value is probably $40 million a year. So paying Pickens $28 million a year is disrespectfully easy to do. But you tag someone because you don't want to lose them, and you could literally get anything. Why not get something for Walker? I don't understand it. But to answer your question, no. Hall has zero chance of being ripped from a team. If not one team even considered giving 2 first-rounders for Lamar Jackson when he was tagged, no one's giving 2 first-rounders for a running back that suffered a major knee injury and has 2 or 3 years left, who we like a lot in Breece Hall, but. All right. Anything else, Bruce? We'll be back at midnight.
Oh. No.
All right. All right.
All right.
Are you okay? You sound like something's wrong there, Bruce. You need help?
No.
Your boy's here. All right. You sure? All right.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you at midnight. All right.
Wait. I remembered it.
Okay. Go ahead.
The report that I did it on your Patreon, that the 49ers wanted a first rounder for Mac Jones. You think that's a bit too much?
Yeah.
One for him?
Probably.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, what's he? I like Mac. Okay, let me put it this way: should the Vikings get Mac Jones for a first rounder versus trust J9 again and ruin JJ? And yes. Do I think it's a ludicrous price tag? Yes. Do I like the guy that holds a player over your head? You still make the trade because you want the player so bad. The Vikings probably should take Mac Jones at all costs, to be honest. But because it's going to be a bigger misstep to have JJ get injured And then you just say, why don't we just give up a freaking, you could also get a pick back, like a second rounder back. You're like moving your first rounder down or something, but it is way overpriced. But he is the best option for the Minnesota Vikings by far and away. I love it. I love it for Minnesota. And I like Mac Jones right now. And I did not always like Mac Jones. Travis will tell you. I'd always tell Travis he's trash. And, Travis liked him a little bit on New England. He'd go to bat for him. And I don't think he looked good. But when he got to San Francisco, just like Darnold did look good, and then Darnold did, just like, Kirk Cousins, I've always, thought wasn't good outside of Minnesota, and he kind of hasn't been good outside Minnesota. So, but these players, they can play different, and Mac Jones is playing different. He's playing on another level. Danny Dimes, Baker Mayfield, these are all guys that were very, very down and out. Bryce Young, but Bryce Young, I don't know. I trust him, But yeah, Mac ain't going for a first rounder though. I'd pay a second easily, to be honest. I don't care what the market is.
All right.
All right, later, Bruce.
We'll see you at midnight.
All right, later, bro. Travis, final thoughts.
Yeah, just quick on Kansas City situation. So I know that the two big rumors, at least coming out of Kansas City, obviously using that 29 pick they got to trade up and get Jeremiah Love, 9 and 29 for Jeremiah Love moving up. And then the other one is Etienne. Then a report today from CBS Sports saying that he's planning to sign a free agent running back, so they don't see Love falling. The number of $8 million a year is being kicked around, which is not getting them an elite running back probably, because Vontae just got $8 million. So, I mean, do you think they go a little bit higher and get an Etienne, get a Walker, or do you think there's a place where we see them bringing in a Dowdle or an Algier and really disappointing? I think that would be a big disappointment.
Algier.
As a football fan, I root against the Chiefs, but fantasy-wise, and thinking as a Chiefs fan, that would be really disappointing.
I don't want Algier. Algier is not an upgrade over Pacheco as much as people think. I like him. He's very, very good, but this is not what you want. This is like getting Alec Pierce for New England. You get it, okay. If they get Algier and KC, we'll get behind it a little bit, but we don't want it. It's not what we wanted. We'll settle on it, but it's not what we wanted. Algier is not that big step forward that they're talking about, or at least the buzz is talking about. And Dowdle being older, I like him a lot, but Dowdle will be interesting for a year. But yeah, this is Walker or Etienne, or it's trading up to get Love. And if the KC Chiefs don't get Walker, Etienne, or Love, they better damn well get Tyson or Sadiq or Carnell Tate. And I don't know that they're going to go after Tyson or Carnell Tate if they believe Rice won't be in trouble this year like he might be. He might be suspended. We don't know how long. So they're not going to do that. Sadiq, so let's just say that they don't have that information, so they're not going to do that. Sadiq or Jeremiah Love or Walker Etienne. If they don't come out with something like that or make some trade for like BTJ or AJB or something like that, the KC Chiefs failed. And they failed Mahomes miserably because he's coming back from an ACL tear. He's going to need all the help he can get. He's going to not be able to run the ball for the first part of the season very much, or shouldn't. Even if he's capable of it, he shouldn't. And they need a big-name player. If they can't get Sadiq, of Etienne or Walker, and overpay a little bit, and especially you're luring in two free agents, man. You're the Kansas City Chiefs. How hard is it to be like, come play with Patrick Mahomes? We'll pay you, and we'll choose you, and they'll choose them. So we'll see what happens. But that's going to be an utter failure if the Chiefs don't walk away with Sadiq or Love in the draft, or Etienne or Walker in free agency. And really, they should land Sadiq and Walker, or Sadiq and Etienne, to be honest.
And I get why they trade McDuffie, whatever they, money wise, it's that. But now they have to replace a cornerback. I know Husseini said that they have guys that they can get by with and develop one or whatever. But every time you get rid of an elite or really good player, that leaves a hole. And so, I don't know the way these teams think. I would give up the 9 and the 29 to move up, but like you were saying earlier, the way these teams think, are they going to be willing to do that, or are they going to be stubborn? I hope they make the right move, just because that would be 18, half measures. Yes. Oh.
Yep. All right, Travis, I'll see you at midnight.
Yep, thanks, man.
Later, bro. All right, guys, we're out of here. Appreciate you all. Make sure you get on over to thefantasyfootballshow.com. Blitzen says, Blitzen, thank you for the $5 holler.
Mashed potatoes!
Yeah, buddy.
Oh. Knocked the speaker over. Thank you, Blitzen, for the super chat. Blitzen says, pick up Dowdle or Hubbard. Probably Hubbard. If it's Dynasty, which I doubt you're doing a redraft draft right now. So Dynasty, because Hubbard's under contract. I don't know. Ziggy, Volume 10. Ziggy, how old is Chuba Hubbard, the running back for the Carolina Panthers?
Chuba Hubbard is 26 years old.
I mean, isn't it crazy how young he is still? Like, Dowdle's way older than him. Not way older than him, but I'd probably say Hubbard and Dynasty, bro. But I like Dowdle, but we don't even know if Dowdle will have a job. Now, I will say, Blitzing, we could live to regret that. The Chiefs bring in Dowdle. Then all of a sudden we're like, damn, he's going to be good for a year. Like, he will be. So, tough to say. But right now, Chuba. Chat, vote on that one. Chuba. All right. Appreciate you all. See you at midnight Eastern. We may or may not draft tonight. Underdog promo code Smitty. They'll match your first deposit 50% all the way up to $1,000. So hit that link in the description. And we may draft tonight. Make sure you get on over to my new revamped thefantasyfootballshow.com draft simulator, trade calculator, enhanced trade calculator. I don't think you could possibly find a calculator that is even remotely close to the one that I have. The type of advice, the layers of advice that it gives you. It doesn't just say do this trade. It tells you why. It breaks down different things. I even, is Ray G out there? Do you guys remember Ray G's question where he said, should he trade George Pickens for BTJ and Fannin? And the trade calculator said to do it. Now, granted, there's some pros and cons to that. But what that question did, and Ray G, don't feel bad because the trade calculator still makes it even with the functionality that I have. But there's certain algorithm in there now that if a trade... Sorry about that. If a trade ends up... bye! That's how Purple John gets off the phone. You're talking to Purple John. He's like, see ya! When you're doing a trade that is being manipulated by smoke and mirrors, my trade calculator can't be tricked necessarily, or it couldn't be. But there's ways to manipulate anything in a trade. And if someone's got lesser players coming to them, you're giving up 1 to get 2. You're giving up 3 to get 4. You're giving up 2 to get 3. Whenever the trade is imbalanced in the trade calculator, there's a safeguard check mechanism in the code that will tell you, hey, this smells fishy. Let's rerun it with a factor of this, and this. Reruns it and tells you whether the trade changes based on that analysis. The trade calculator is to the moon. The draft simulator, you can enter keepers. You can pull players off the draft board if you want to draft like that, remove players. You can do a Dynasty Superflex, a redraft Superflex draft simulation. You can do a redraft regular, a Dynasty regular. You can do a rookie-only draft where it's a linear draft, so you don't have the snake there on rookies, and that's how rookie drafts are. Lineup calculator, weekly lineups, and I just added an enhanced bold prediction. And the rankings are red line rankings where you can click and red line the players out. Redraft, rookie, Dynasty, Superflex, all the rookie rankings you can get your hands on. And then I have the lineup calculator. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the new and advanced player pages that have everything you could possibly want on a player on the page. This is the place to be. And you can purchase it by doing the lifetime membership, never pay again, just pay one time, or pay the $59 for the year for the fantasy football season. Go check it out. Don't forget the Patreon. All these links are in my description of my video. Patreon, $10 a month, cancel anytime. See you all at midnight Eastern. New merch is in the store. YouTube or thefantasyfootballshow.com/merch. If you want to grab your new logo hoodie, I got some of the marketing stuff, the signage, signs in the background, skateboards. We got everything's gonna slowly be moved over. It's just taking a couple weeks. Go get your new merch, baby. Don't forget about the sponsors down below. See you all at 8 or midnight.